Hello everybody, and welcome back. Hoping this video finds you well. It's going to be a bit more of a hopeful one today. Yes, even with the overly serious subject matter. Again. Thankfully, we got some silly shenanigans coming up this Friday, but as for today, I wanted to take some time to sit and talk about my personal journey, and how it might help people in the community deal with constantly being harassed by transphobes online. So without further ado, let's get into it. About 8 to 9 years ago, when I was 13 to 14, I was pretty heavily engrossed in some more far-right communities online. My best friend from school at the time had introduced me to the idea of trans people, but of course since we were teens from a rural area of a red state, this introduction was less, hey, look at this new group, and more of a, these idiots are such losers, am I right? A common problem whenever we would hear about anything new. This unfortunate introduction sent me down the rabbit hole of looking up and listening to alt-right personalities online. Since those were the idiots usually making the lol trans people bad content my dumbass found so funny for some bizarre reason, there were a few that I ended up listening to, but it's not important as to who they are. It was really easy for a dumb kid like myself to listen to these people's videos and panels at colleges and nod along with them as they would spew their rhetoric, because someone of my age and education level had no idea how to differentiate what was fact and what was fiction about the topic I'd never heard anything about. That's what made these people so dangerous. They knew how to talk in a way that made absolutely sure listeners wouldn't ask any questions. It didn't matter that the college kids they were debating were speaking facts, because they would speak in such a way and would use such points that it required you to take a second to think over what they said, making it look like these students were just desperately stumbling over their words and thus didn't know what they were talking about, at which point a dismissive statement could be used against them, and bam, uneducated people everywhere would clap over you owning the libs. Because I found this thing so funny, I would join the discussion of this in the YouTube comments or on places like Reddit and iFunny. Yeah, I know, really cringe. And try to do this owning myself. And as with every other of the fans of the people who did this, I continually ran into a brick wall, and another brick wall after brick wall, absolutely embarrassing myself in the eyes of anybody who wasn't also libased chud. At the time, also common with people who still do this today, I didn't think much of the absolute verbal beatdowns I was receiving at the hands of people who were actually backed by facts. I would just eject myself from the conversation by repeating these talking points, these funny little catchphrases about facts and feelings, and go on my way desperately trying to convince myself I was owning the person I was talking to. This is how things continued up until I moved. I moved with my family across state lines into a blue state into the suburbs, quite literally almost the exact opposite of where I was before. At this time, I lost contact with all of my friends aside from the one friend who sent me down this unfortunate path, so coming into junior high school that year, I was kind of desperate for other friends. My parents, obviously knowing me and knowing how bad I was with people, social anxiety, as I would find out later, signed me up for a program in the school designed to help kids make friends. And to its credit, it worked like hell, because not even a week into the program and I was already friends with one of the kids. This kid happened to be friends with people outside of the program in the school who they wanted to introduce me to, so we spoke to the teachers running the program and removed ourselves from it to join normal lunch hours every day. And this, friends, is where my bigotry was sent through a brick wall. After a few days, I realized something. The friends this person introduced me to were the exact kind of people these online grifters always said were completely unreasonable and spent all their time screeching over their identity. As I hung out with them, I saw that my entire opinion, fabricated by the alt-right online spaces I was in, of these people was a complete lie. I tried spreading this information out to these spaces, and by the responses I got, it all became clear to me. How they reacted to me saying I was seeing firsthand how untrue these generalizations grifters had about us forced me to realize that these were not reasonable people. In fact, these misled people were everything they claimed to be paragons against, and with that came the thinking and the shame. This is what I was doing before. How many times was I on the other end of this exchange, being the blockhead who was telling a new ally what they had just discovered was just liberal senselessness, regardless of the actual factual situation behind it. It was a sobering thought, and from this day forward, I strove to be more understanding of people's situations. This was actually the first big change of many over the years that led to not only me improving as a person, but also led to me figuring out that a big reason for how I acted as a kid was because I didn't feel at home with my own body. In other words, I was trans. This realization probably would have come sooner if I hadn't started out being a transphobe, if that person didn't introduce me to these online grifters, and if I didn't get so screwed up at the beginning of my internet life. Which sucks, because being this kind of bigot robbed me of the experience of knowing who I was until literally 6 months ago, after I was already 21 and well into being an adult. And with that, that is pretty much all I wanted to say about the story part of it. As for the talking to transphobes online part of it, I wanted to add that this sort of stumbling, this sort of doubt that they have is extremely common. Because, I mean, they spend all of their time convincing themselves that they are right. You're not necessarily going to change their opinions online, but that also means that you should not take to heart what they're saying at all. They're just as lost as you feel that you are, so you really shouldn't interact with them at all, even if they come to try and attack you on your posts. But if you do interact with them, just shrug them off. They hate that. They hate being shrugged off because they want to believe that you're scared of them. That's pretty much the best way to deal with them. With that, I want to thank you all for listening. Not only do I hope that this gives the trans community some insight into how unserious transphobes are, but I also hope this reaches someone who's in a situation like the one I was in. To you, I want to say that I know you're going to think this is all some sort of farce, and I'm just another crazy liberal, but I hope that one day you meet some of us the same way I did, so that you can break away from the lies and awfulness as well. And frankly, it would be hypocritical of me to blame you for the way you act. The grift is designed to be easy to fall for, so it really was not your fault. Take this video as the wake-up call to go out and listen to how we really talk and act and believe, not how we talk and act in the videos cherry-picked to make us look bad. Again, thanks a ton for listening, and I hope you enjoyed. Next up, this Friday, is funny D&D campaign run by some awesome people. Tune in next time!